Hello, everyone. This is Jeanette the Oracle. Welcome to Oracle Talks. Quick announcements. I will not be doing Oracle Talks next week because it is both the week of the full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces, which I believe is happening at 20 degrees of Pisces. And it is also the week that I'm going to be doing the 2025 Spiritual New Year Channeling event, which is happening on Saturday, September 21st at 8 a.m. Pacific time and 11 a.m. Eastern time. So in deference to that and just what's going to be required of me energetically, both for my own personal work as well as holding space for the messages for us in the collective, I won't be doing Oracle Talks next week. So as a heads up, the message today will be short and sweet also, because I am now starting my personal time of the month, my menses. So energy is here and available for right now, but it's not going to be sustaining for a long time. So I definitely want to be respectful of that. Anywho, the schedule for Covenant I did post last week. So we have next Wednesday, actually, Atia is going to be leading the live session, and then at the end of the month will be Reverend Portia. I believe her day is on the 27th or 28th, one of those. But you can check that on the community tab. And if you would like to join and become a member, you can sign up at the link in the description below. And also, if you want to register and join us for the 2025 Spiritual New Year Channeling event, the link to purchase your ticket is in the link below. Whether you're able to attend live or not, if you register, you will get the recording. I will not be making the recording available for anyone else beyond the time of that. So if you are not already a Covenant member, you're already going to get it. If you're not already a current Lightworker Incubator participant, and if you're not signed up, you won't be able to actually see the video and get those messages. That was like coming through really clearly. So that tells me that the messages are going to skew a little bit more esoteric, and there might be some important downloads that come through that's not necessarily best to share publicly, but we'll see what happens. We will very likely be going for the full 3 hours that I have blocked out for the event, but we will, of course, be taking breaks as needed in that time, to get up, walk around, stretch, get something to eat, and things like that. So just give you a heads up for that. Okay, I believe that is it. I believe that's it. So, yeah, as you can see from the title, which is Reclaiming Our Spiritual Inheritance and Intentionally Using Our Power, this is essentially a message that is forward-looking, okay? So, last week we've been talking, or I mentioned about, the importance of consciously clearing and preparing for the new and all of that. And so hopefully everybody has been doing whatever they have been intuitively guided to do, as well as what is best for them during this time. Please continue to keep up those practices. Just because that was the message for that time does not mean you stop, right? So keep doing that. In all honesty, I would say, keep with the protection prayer, with those clearing exercises, the aligning with the new and all of that, honestly, through this kind of 4 moons time frame, essentially to the end of the year, to help with the grounding and energetic realignment and personal human life alignment to the new, just to make life easier for you. But in particular, because we're coming up to the Spiritual New Year and the autumn equinox, it's important to continue that. And of course, the full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces happening on the 17th, which I believe is Tuesday, next Tuesday. The tiredness, I can already feel it. Oh, menses. So I'm gonna have some coffee later though. It's all good. I'm gonna get the energy that I need for the day. Yeah, so, with that in mind, of course, I dropped in this awareness and the consciousness of stepping into the new. And so coming into today, I was really sitting with like what, from my side, my opinion of things, how to approach the cultivation of an environment that supports the creation of the manifestation of our desires. And as I was spending some more time with spirit about that, what was coming through was to focus on this message, which is about the reclamation of our spiritual inheritance, which essentially, we've been talking about, getting back that which was stolen. And the intentional right stewardship, if you will, use of our power now that we're here again. So when I was checking in about this, the card that popped up was the Judgment card, and what that can mean a few things. So one, I associate that card with Archangel Gabriel, just for angelic reference. It also speaks to resurrection or the coming again of something, right? Like the revisiting, the returning to, right? So something is being brought back to life or brought back to you. So that can also speak to restoration, or again, a revisiting of of something coming back. And so it can also represent a call, like answering the call, because you have the angel there with the trumpet, or a call going out. So it's answering a call that has gone out, or sending out a call, right? An announcement, a proclamation. Is there anything else with that card that wants to come through? I think that's it. So the predominant thing though is this almost resurrection or circling back to something. And now that we have come back to that which is rightfully ours, back to our spiritual inheritance, and we've chosen to reclaim that, if we've chosen to reclaim it. Hopefully you have. Hey, from the UK, welcome. If we've chosen to reclaim that, but I'm going to assume that there is a yes. I'm just going to be speaking to the yes people. If you have not decided, it's a no. And if it's a no, if you have decided it's a no, then it's a no, right? Have verbena today, which is a black currant squash. Oh, nice. That sounds good. But this is for the folks who have said yes and have reclaimed that which is stolen, reclaimed their inheritance, whatever that is, and that should have been made clear, and be clear at this point about who you are, a deepening understanding of who you are, as well as the promotion essentially that you have returned to, if not currently received, right? After this foolishness of the imitation and mimicry and all of that. Now, as I'm sure traumatic and frustrating and annoying as it has been to go through this experience of this mimicry of us, of our soul, and moving us out of our position has been over the past few years, we are back to a similar choice point, if you will, of how and why, and the heart and the spirit behind the way we will be expanding as we move forward, because the expansion is coming. The abundance, the flow is like it is returning, and you probably have noticed and start to feel like the momentum is shifting back, and there's a more harmonious blending and a flow that is being experienced now, and it's probably relatively small, quote unquote, meaning in such a way that um, it only be something that you would be able to notice and pay attention to, and be able to see like, oh, this is starting to shift over here. Like I can feel the difference here. I can feel the difference in my body. I have more peace, or I have more joy, or I have more clarity, or what have you. Like those, the fruits of that should already be starting to kind of bubble up a little bit, just enough for you to notice, and give you an indication of this forward momentum. So it will continue, and the expansion is returning, and it will be bigger and beyond what has been experienced and achieved prior. But now that we're here again, there are some important components that we have to look at. We don't have to, we're being invited to. I'm inviting us to, because I'm doing this inquiry myself, so that's why I'm centering this. I'm inviting us to have this inquiry around, now that we're essentially being given a second chance, if you will, how are we going to build differently? How are we going to grow differently? And, if we started to do some of that work of looking back to where we were before things started to shift and turn a few years ago, we were at a precipice of, some expansion, and we were probably making some choices that on the surface to our mind seemed like it was in alignment, but at the root of it was very much, to stay within the context of what we've been speaking of the last several weeks, very much in alignment with the beast, very much working and operating with the darker forces, which, cosplay empowerment, which cosplay justice, inequality, and right relationship and right stewardship and all of that. And so hopefully we've been able to see, where those subtle ways that we adapted and conformed and started showing up like how we thought we should, in order to embody and exercise power in a more expanded, prominent, successful, loving relationship kind of space, like whatever the context is for your life, wherever this is showing up. We get to see, hopefully we have seen that and have a sense of that, but we really get to sit with that right now. And this is important because doing this work of our perspectives, our frameworks, what really is going into the decisions that we're making and the actions that we're taking, and why we're pursuing certain things or not pursuing certain things, is the soil that is both the soil and the seed that we are planting for this new timeline. So knowing what we know now, having experienced what we have experienced, now, and the knowledge that we have now, would we build in the same way? Would we pursue the same relationships? Would we strive for the same goals? And if so, why or why not? Right? Like what really is going into those decisions? How are we using our power? Where are we being a good steward and use of our power beyond just for survival, beyond just for affirmation by others, beyond just accolades, beyond just fame, beyond whatever, right? Like, what is there? What's really there? And so, yeah, we're going to see the guidance that comes through around helping us each individually sit with and navigate that. Let me know, of course, if this is resonating with you in the comments. If you've also been doing this kind of deep inquiry work. Also, if you've been grappling with this idea of like, if you are being of service and or what have you, that you can't be abundant and have a beautiful, luxurious, and joyful life, a loving relationship, that you can't have your cake and eat it too. That might be part of what's playing through for you. In the past, it might be like, oh, maybe you thought you had to show a certain kind of way at work or in your business in order to grow and expand. And if you weren't getting that, then that wasn't considered success, right? Yeah, like where overall is there more depth? Where overall is and can there be more depth? More rootedness? Where our power is less of an idea and more of a true reality that we sit with. Because I think sometimes like this idea of power can seem like really abstract and we don't think that we have it, or we put certain types of value on certain types of ways that people show up as being more valuable expressions of power. We may assume power is only conflated with authority. All right, let's get the messages out. And I'm speaking this message at all levels and all realms. So not just your 3D human life, our 3D human life, but also us in the heavenly realms. It is both and. How we are showing up in the spirit, how we function and use our power in the spirit, as well as how we show up and use our power in our physical life. Where can our intention and our impact conjunct? Conjoin. Would actually be proper word, I guess. I'm used to astrology speak, so I just use that. But where can those two where can intention and impact conjoin? Okay, so first card out is Six of Wands. Then we have the Hermit, Ace of Swords, and Eight of Wands. And right now at the center is a Three of Pentacles. I will expand in a little bit, but first let's start with this. So what is arising for us is the Six of Wands, which is the card of victory, and it's a balanced use of power. Okay, this is Jupiter and Leo. The Hermit represents the action to take to address the Six of Wands, and the Hermit is literally the card about self-reflection and mastery. Right? Okay. The past energy is the Ace of Swords. And then the strategy to keep in mind with the Hermit is the Eight of Wands, which is speed and fast manifestation, and also just spiritual power overall. And the Three of Pentacles is can relate to promotion. It's an individual's promotion, personal development, personal power. Okay, so it is about, this is individual choice and free will. Like, we really have to be intentional about this, and intentional is not, well, it shouldn't be a burden. But, you know, intentionality requires accepting that you do have the spiritual inheritance, that you do have this power, and that you accept the responsibility that comes with it. Both positive, neutral, and negative. Because as we are given more, because this is promotional energy, like, it's, again, like I said, we are at the threshold of more coming in. Like, we're back at that place again where that is going to be opening up. So it's coming for us, but again, how are we going to use it this time to leverage it in a different way? How are we going to make use of this power? And that's something that only we can decide. It's not something that is going to be coming down from the heavens and like, oh, you have to show up this way. It's like, that's not how this works. In a lot of ways, we are learning or practicing embodying the kind of gods we want to be. And the more and more we awaken to our true soul nature, to our true spirit, to our true divine core star essence, we come to realize and accept and live with the fact that we have always been divine, have always been a child of God, Mother, Father, Source. We've always been a God walking the planet. And we always get to choose how we show up. I think I've touched on this before about, you know, what are you the God of, right? Or like what things would be associated with you as a God. You know, we think about like gods from the different cultures and we have their stories and all that stuff. And it's like, but yeah, that's actually us. So, you know, what are you the God of? What is associated with you? One second. So it's interesting with this hermit energy. It's like there's information coming from multiple paths about multiple ways to be and to show up, and so it's so much information and data and intel, things to consider, things to tap into with yourself about how you feel, what you know, what you've learned, um, the dynamics of what's going on in the world around you, what's going on in heaven, and like all the things. So like all of that is there, right? Um, and so there's a sense of like, what is the path, and um, there may be the sense that like, there's this binary right now of just, you know, two paths to take. But there is also another path as an option, a middle path, um, the path of the mysteries. That's there too. And that's where we get to sit with the Holy Spirit, with Mother, Father, Source, and keep us centered and grounded as we walk through this period of transition. To keep front and center the truth of who we are, of our being, and what's possible for us. And to remind us of our spirit's desires to actually take the highest vibrational path, or be on the highest trajectory that is best for our own souls. Because ultimately, whether we consciously realize it or not, the deepest longing of our souls and of our spirits, really, if needed, is to know ourselves like our parent source, like Mother, Father, Source. Welcome, everybody. That is the deep longing, right? But I think where potentially this might have been hard to embody in the past, or has not possibly not been something that's been desired to achieve, is there wasn't an understanding of how to also have that experience simultaneously with, and I'll just speak, for us as souls of humanity, or possibly as angels or dragons or whoever. And that's where we're like flexing the muscle, is the immensity of the divinity of that which we are birthed from, of Mother, Father, Source, as a persistent, consistent, lived experience in the midst of, rather than in spite of, in the midst of existence. I know this is a really esoteric message. You can blame the Pisces energy, because I'm like already in the eclipse vibe right now. Very much so. So I might be speaking to folks spirit right now more so than I am their human self. But these are important considerations. Again, we've gotten a second chance. We're about to grow and expand exponentially, and the momentum has already started. But there is some adjustment that I'm inviting us all to do about how we build and create and grow and transform moving forward. And these are going to be in ways that are specific and unique to you, and you know what these things are. This is not necessarily going to be like a huge, big thing. It might just be a subtle shift, or it might be big stuff. But again, you're going to know what it is. And, essentially, can you make the decision rather than choice to stick with that new way of doing things that you've decided? Let's expand that. So this is going to go into the spirit position. Seven of Pentacles out next. The Sun. Four of Pentacles. There's so many Pentacles out here. I mean, inheritance energy is strong. Hierophant. This is what we're showing up as. Literally the card of commitment. Listen, Spirit be speaking. That's what we're sitting with. We're literally considering. And again, that three there, it's like, what's that third path? What's that path of the mysteries? Like, what else is there in terms of how we're going to choose to show up? So we're showing up as a Hierophant. In the environment, we have the Star. One of the things that was coming through early before I jumped on was about how these considerations and this stuff that I'm talking about is going to be essentially the theme and what we're going to be racking our brains and having lots of conversations with, both in the spirit as well as here in the 3D, for essentially this Aquarius cycle. Right? Like we moved out of the Pisces area and we're now going into Aquarius. Like this is also that theme. But this also represents the possibilities. This is collective governance. This also can represent the ascension and what's possible. There's a lot that's connected there. One of the things I love about the illustration for this particular deck is how there's an integrated tree of life here. So there's a consideration of all parts. So heaven and earth are both present, so to speak. Or they're informing the creation of a new tree of life. Interesting. And for better or for worse, in the center of the spread now, we have the Nine of Swords. So this Nine of Swords being here in the center is the central theme, or the heart of the matter, I should say. It's not the central theme. The theme is the title. Reclaiming our spiritual inheritance and intentionally using our power. But this is at the heart of the matter. This is actually what's being faced and addressed. Are we building and creating in such a way that we ultimately end up preserving the wheel of karma and this constant juxtaposition between Kali Yuga and Satya Yuga? Are we going to consider and be more aware now of the intentions behind why we were doing certain things in the past? The last time we had a blow up in our life, whatever that blow up was. Was that really serving our spirit and the Holy Spirit and the great ascension? Or was that serving the dark, the beasts, the dark forces that seek to control? We have to do this work, this self-reflection work. What we rightfully demand of our leaders, of those in position of authority, we must demand of ourselves. And it doesn't mean that, mistakes or slips don't happen, but as a general posture in showing up in life, this is really what we're dealing with. And we must be careful not to allow that to get a foothold within us, because it's really subtle. And I say that to say in particular, because especially given the intel that was coming through about this mimicry attack and situation that we've been in, yes, obviously fifth dimensional stuff was there, but it also was upper dimensions. And then so you have to think, okay, well, why would someone who is, tasked with caring for, or supposed to essentially be doing their job, allow for this kind of energy to seed envy, jealousy, greed, whatever in them? Right? How do we ensure, to the best of our ability, that we don't actually become the thing we seek to evolve out of? And that is the second part of this title for this video, the intentional use of our power. We have to learn and accept and know and understand the power that we have and the impact and intention. We are well equipped to do this work. And we already do this work, in particular in our human lives, right? We're, consciously checking in. We are questioning why we're doing things, etc. And the same, for sure can apply in the spirit. But sometimes what can happen is, as the victory, as the abundance comes and flows, we start to lose that clear submission to Mother, Father, Source, to the Holy Spirit. to the impact of certain uses of our power. And we can allow certain things to slip because it's not that big of a deal. Excuse me, but it is, because we actually have a lot more influence than we realize. And maybe for some of you, some of us, that's been part of what this thing that we're revisiting is. Maybe you don't actually want that responsibility. Maybe you don't want to be at a level where what you do and how you show up has that much of an impact. Is this making sense? I'm gonna see if there's any more messages, but the Seven of Pentacles is actually really interesting that it came out here, because on this card it says Lord of Success Unfulfilled. And this has never occurred to me before, but it's coming through now. The wording is odd in this because it's not failure, because there is actually a card for failure. And I believe that's the Five of Pentacles. But this is success unfulfilled. So this is what's coming through now is the achievement of success, but there's a sense of unfulfillment. And maybe that will help as we all go through this process of reflection and considering intentionally how we're going to use our power moving forward, is, you know, going back to where we were before, and being honest about where we actually were unfulfilled. Like, even though we were achieving the success of whatever it is that we were experiencing. So this could have been in work, career, in relationships, in health, what have you, right? Whatever it is. Something about that was unfulfilling for you. Now, yes, of course, external circumstance you don't have control over, and you do make the best of what you can. But this is a specific message. We're not talking about that. We're talking about even within that, where we, again, this is past energy, where we might have cultivated an environment, both externally and in our mindset, our approach, in our heart, that got us the thing that we wanted, but we didn't actually really feel that fulfilled. We were doing it because we just had to do it. We're cosplaying. And in a lot of ways, honestly, we might have been mimicking others. Oh, they do this way, or they show up this way, so that means I need to do this way, and I need to show up this way in order to have what they have. That's a more benign version of the mimicry attack that occurred for some of the souls of humanity now. Because in that instance, they're just like, we're actually just going to literally pretend to be you and take your position and put you on the timeline that just gives you peanuts so that we can enjoy your spoils, your spiritual inheritance, really. and that which comes with, that work and that function. So the energy is not unfamiliar to us, right? It's not unfamiliar. It's just we didn't go that far. We weren't abusing our power. But this is more of a misuse of power. But a misuse of power down the road can eventually lead to abuse. And so we don't actually want to create that, right? We want to, again, really intentionally use our power. And it's small, subtle shifts and changes in steadiness in heart, mind, and spirit that ensures that is the case. Often it's not like big sweeping changes. I've given this analogy before about when you see those, I don't know what their title are, but their title specifically are, but like when you see them, the surveyors on the streets who, they set up their tripod, I guess, and they are measuring things in the distance, and they're like making really small movements and adjustments on the device. It's because like that little small shift that's happening at the point where they are a mile down the road is like, could be like 3 to 6 meters difference, right? And it doesn't seem like it's a big deal, but it's like laser sharp. That has massive impact down the road. And that's really what we're talking about here. And so what I mentioned earlier about like this is internal work. Like it's, even as the momentum is building and you're picking up, it's probably not something that other people are going to be noticing really just yet. Like it's really just going to be things that you will notice of like, oh, like again, there's more flow, like things are starting to open, like I'm starting to see blah, 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 right? That's going to be for you. It's not going to be at a point where everyone else is going to see it. So these shifts are at that same level of subtlety. It's you that is going to know. It's you who is turning away from operating in a way consciously, subconsciously, or unconsciously aligned with the beast to Mother, Father, Source, and the Holy Spirit. And it literally is just a shifting of attention. And what's beautiful is we do already know how to do it. It's not even like we are having to learn something new. But what we're sitting with, especially as we're coming into this full moon eclipse in Pisces, which is literally the divine, right? And the beginning of the spiritual new year, it's like, I'm going to intentionally and consciously choose this at the very least over this next week, if not over the next few months. Because I want both the soil and the seed that this restoration and this reclamation of my spiritual inheritance and the abundance and the joy and the love and et cetera that comes with it to be in good soil and to expand and to grow farther and higher and deeper and better than what was available before. Because I'm wiser now. I have both mountain and valley experience to inform my deeper commitment to myself and to spirit. And I joyfully say yes. Because I remember that this is possible, this new earth. I remember that I believe and I have hope for and have faith in the fact that we can be better we can be better gods. And that this changing of the guards is us accepting our role and not trying to pass the buck off to anyone else, because that is a misuse of our power. All right. I think that's it. So I don't see any questions or anything like that. So I guess we are good on that front. Yeah, I hope this helped you. I hope that this gives you something to sit with and think about as we come into the eclipse next week. As I mentioned at the top of this, I will not be here for Oracle Talks next Thursday because I'm going to save my energy for the 2025 Spiritual New Year channeling event that I'm doing on Saturday. And I'm also, being cognizant of the fact that the eclipse is going to be 2 days before, and I just need to be mindful of my energy. No questions from me, but really resonated. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Yes, I'll be, well, I'll say this. I have no plans on, and it seems to be confirmed with Spirit that I won't be on. Hit the notification bell just in case that changes, but I don't think I'm going to be on because I think I'm supposed to be really getting downloads for the New Year message. Again, if you'd like to register, the link is in the bio below. Only folks who registered will be getting the recording. Regardless of whether or not you can attend live, you will get the recording. So please do sign up if you want it. But besides that, I think that is it. And if you would like to become a member of Covenant, the link is also in the description below. That is there as well. But we will call it a day. I hope everybody is safe. There are lots of environmental disasters going on around the country, so I hope folks are safe and well. Yeah, and God willing, I will see you next Saturday for the 2025 Spiritual New Year live channeling events. And if you won't be there, then I'll see you, God willing, in 2 weeks then. All right, bye.